we're talking about Oden, but the main reason why I'm doing this video is basically just to highlight everything that happened in the official translations for the Viz, or rather the official translations for One Piece. It changed the entire conversation around Oden. It presented some speculations or some thoughts we should probably start to consider. I was honestly taken aback. In comparison to what it said in the scans, I had to go back and reread a few chapters just to get another view to see if there's any hints about Oden that I probably missed. What I mean is, in chapter 958, the dialogue Oden had between himself and the rest of the Roger pirates was significantly different from what it was implied in the scanlations. So first I'm going to point out what the scanlation says, then I'm going to point out exactly what the official translation says. This is a key point or key time to remember, guys. Read several translations because it could give different meanings, but the end all and be all should always be the official translations by Viz, because that's the official. Like, you have to go off of what the official says. Before we go any further though, because this video is going to contain 3 parts, so I'm just going to let you guys know the structure of this video. First is somewhat of a 957 analysis, just going deeper based on what the Viz translation told us. 2, we're going to discuss the identity of Oden and how he could possibly be connected to other characters that we've seen in the series so far, because it's a possibility that Oden did not die. I'm just saying because it's been trending a lot, because people have been discussing who Oden could possibly be and why Oda has made Oden a silhouette for his entire One Piece career. And part 3, this is when we go a bit deeper into Oden's character and what Oda is trying to tell us about Oden, because Oden is somewhat the main character that died. But I'm going to give more context when we get to that part. So part 1, 957 analysis. Part 2, we discuss Oden's identity or possible identity. In part 3, we go a bit deeper into Oden and what Oda is trying to tell us about Oden and what he represents in the One Piece story. Now, you know, in 958, there's something that's apparently going on in Wano, and Oden is worried about it because he's talking about it with the rest of the Roger pirates, and at this point, they offered to help him. Rayleigh, Shanks, Buggy, specifically, they offered to help Oden with whatever issue is going on in Wano. He, of course, declined the help, but based on what he says here, it's a bit vague as to exactly what he means. So first, let's talk about exactly what he says in the scanlations. After Shanks and Buggy asked to help, he says it's an internal matter for the Kozuki clan, and he says he never understood why Wano had to close the borders to the outside world. He then says, seeking to become shogun after thoughtlessly abandoning my homeland may be selfish of me, but I will definitely make what I have envisioned a reality. I am certain that with the aid of my reliable retainers, I will be able to open Wano's borders. We shall see the fruition of this dream in the next 20 years. So at first, when we read the scanlations, it was a bit vague because he says we shall see the fruition of this dream in the next 20 years. Of course, this is 25 years from the current storyline. So basically, Oden was saying that 5 years ago from where we currently are, that's when we should see the fruition of Wano's borders. It's weird dialogue because that would mean that Oden saw this as a 20-year plan where his opening of the Wano's borders would not be an immediate thing and would take 20 years to accomplish this goal, because 20 years has been significant ever since the beginning of Wano, in which, you know, Inarashi and Nakamushi, they were asking why would Oden, or why did Toki even choose 20 years for everything to skip forward. So 20 years is going to be significant in the future for, I'm sure, at some point, but again, this is a scanlation. Now let's examine the official translation. Again, after Rayleigh, Buggy, and Shanks offers to help, Oden says, this is something that we of the Kozuki clan must solve on our own. I've always had my reservations about why the land of Wano must keep its borders closed. I can't leave the country behind and come back and demand, make me the shogun, but I will find a way to pass this on. I mean, this makes sense. You can't just leave your country then come back and say, hey, I'm Oden. I'm that strong guy that beat everyone in Curry. Make me your boss. Which would actually make sense because Ryuma, we know, was the person that was protecting Wano for a long time. So why not make the strongest person since Ryuma the person to protect you? Or we assume is the strongest person since Ryuma, because we're not sure exactly where Mihawk is from or where Fujitora is from. And, you know, they wear some Wano garb, and there's speculation as to Kizaru being from Wano as well. But so far, we know Oden is the strongest person or the greatest person from Wano so far. But regardless, he goes on to say, I shall work with my excellent vassals that I left back home to open the land of Wano and wait for a future in 20 years from now. So first off, in the scanlations, he makes it seem like, okay, it's going to be a 20-year plan for the most part. In the official translations, it implies that Oden planned on being there, alive, 20 years from now. The significance again of the 20 years we're not certain of, because there could be an underlying theme to it, but there's something I want to point out again when we get to the section about Oden being somewhat like the main character. But for right now, what does this tell you? Some people were implying that this could mean that Oden's will was for this to be completed by 20 years. This was not him implying that he was going to be alive. This is not him implying that something was going to happen. However, I have to question that because the entire conversation started because he was worried about Wano. And he even said he must find find a way to pass this will on. Now, people are speculating whether or not Oden could have a straw hat on his back, and Oden seemed to be a lot bigger than Roger and everyone on the Roger parts when you look at the silhouette and how he was sitting on the ship. So people were asking the straw hat that we saw Im-sama use, is that Oden's straw hat? I'm not going to jump that far ahead because of course we saw Shanks with the straw hat in the exact, well, not the exact same panel, but on the same page. There is a connection between the Kozuki and the D's, so I don't know if the straw hat is kind of a symbol of hope or symbol of peace in a way, but that's just speculation. In regards to what's said on the actual page, I don't know if we have to start to consider the fact that Oden could be alive. We might have to. Oden, before he died, he of course entrusted Momonosuke to open the borders of Wano, but something key about what he said, my name is Oden, I was born to boil. Now, the will of D and just the will, inherited will in One Piece is something that's very prevalent, and that can mean a wide array of things, but something to consider that Oden at some point realized that, of course, not only with his name, but his destiny was to become this sacrificial lamb to become the reason for the borders of Wano opening. Because when you think about it, the only reason why the Mink, Samurai, Straw Hat, Heart Pirate Alliance, the only reason why this came to fruition was because of Oden's death. The 20-year thing, this could have some significance in regards to Lady Toki and her power. Could she have the ability to see into the future in some way? And she, of course, let Oden know of his destiny, and him knowing that he was going to die, wanted to not only find out the secrets of the world so that he could pass some of this information on or leave secrets in regards to the secrets of the world, but also setting things in place and setting things in motion for this to happen. And again, we're going to get a bit deeper into it in the second part of this video, but before we move on into talking about the identity of Oden, well, not the second part, the third part, because that's where we're going to get deeper into Oden as a character in regards to how he compares him to the Straw Hats, or to Luffy rather, the timeline. Right? Because currently, when we go back 25 years ago, Roger died 24 years ago from the current story. This is 25 years ago. So I think this moment is exactly right after the final voyage, or in the midst of the final voyage. I believe they'd already found the One Piece at this point, and we know Roger, after he sailed with the Roger pirates, he had a year in between before he actually died. That's the year where he went off and he, was with Rude, and they say he was acting like a dad, and that's of course where he conceived Ace. So shortly after this, Oden went back to Wano. This opens the speculation in regards to Shanks and him knowing the secret of the world. Him and Buggy, actually. One thing that really highlighted, and I talk about this all the time, is that just knowing the secret of the world doesn't mean anything. Just like Ohara and the Oharans, just knowing the Void Century doesn't do anything. Because if you know everything and you can't do anything, it's worse than you not knowing anything. Because it's going to make you seem helpless or feel helpless because you have all this information and you can't do anything with it. You're powerless in a way. So with Shanks knowing all that he knows, is this the reason for the way he acts? Because he knows the history of the world, he's trying to maintain the balance again. But for Shanks and Buggy to still be with the crew while Oden is there, we know Crocus and Oden, they were there for the final voyage. It opens a speculation in regards to whether or not these two were with the crew at the end, and I believe that they were. I think that they should have been the two to sail with the crew. Oden is a very interesting character for several reasons, and one of the main reasons is not only due to what he means to the story in general, but just how Oda has been introducing his character and the initial setup of his story. Oden again has been in silhouette throughout his entire One Piece career, and it's been a bit weird because no other character has gotten this treatment except for Oden, except for Green Bull. Well, Green Bull hasn't even been silhouetted nearly as much as Oden, but in regards to the identity of Oden, people again are starting to speculate whether or not, if he is alive, could he be Green Bull? Now personally, I don't know how any of this makes sense. There's nothing really tying the two together other than they're both tall and they both have long hair and they're both silhouette characters. Let's entertain this for a second. If Oden is alive and if Oden is indeed Green Bull, what's the motive for him becoming an admiral and being dormant for this many years and now showing himself but not going back to Wano? The main issue I have with that conversation is the portrayal of Oden. Oden is portrayed to be in the same vein of Luffy, and whereas somewhat volatile, inspirational, but heavy on friendship and caring about people, but he still has pride as a samurai. And so him abandoning Wano, knowing exactly what they're going through with Kaido being, a tyrant over there, it doesn't match up. So for me, I don't think Oden, if he is alive, I don't think there's a chance that he's Green Bull at all. I think Oda is doing this on purpose. And maybe he's keeping Oden a silhouette just to lead us on with this whole narrative of Oden being Green Bull because he understands his fan base. He knows how we speculate. But I don't think there's any chance that Oden could be Green Bull unless there's a major twist and things happened in the background that we had no idea about, because from what we know now, Oden was killed and he in some way passed on his will to the Straw Hats or to Momonosuke, and that led to where we are now, where we have actual forces that should compete against Kaido. The cover page of chapter 631 is picking up steam as well, in which there's somebody that's talking to Crocus, and it's very reminiscent to chapter 958, in which Oden is sitting down and they're having something to drink. It looks like sake. And there's a person, they have the long hair, but it's gray haired now. And if that is indeed Oden, like it's hard to speculate, it's hard to even say, but if that is Oden, how could you stay away from Wano for this long? It just doesn't make sense to me. For someone that cares so much about their country, we saw it in chapter 958, which he says, I can't just abandon my country aimlessly or thoughtlessly and then come back and then demand to be shogun. Something to keep in mind though, he has obviously abandoned Wano before, but I think because of everything that transpired, he would learn from that and not abandon Wano again. But again, time will tell. Hopefully Oda doesn't go down the route of amnesia or something again, but this guy, whoever this person is, was talking to Crocus. A lot of people speculate it could be Scott Gaban. I think with the context of Wano, even the hat, the cape, the hair, a lot like Oden. So we gotta wait and see exactly what comes with that. The context of 631 is important as well, because this cover story was from the ship decks around the world. The news coup soars across the seas, and this is from chapter 613 onwards. And this cover story was mainly around reactions to the Straw Hats coming back. All the Straw Hats reappearing again in the New World was big news, so that's what everyone was reacting to. Of course, Crocus and this strange individual. There were 9 Straw Hats that reappeared, and we know the whole theme around Oden, so I know Oda is probably playing with that whole 9 scabbard narrative. These two individuals talking at this time is not for show. Having Crocus in 958 as well adds to the whole theory of this person actually being Oden, but him being alive is kind of crazy. However, we just have to wait and see. The final part of this is talking about the significance of Oden and how he compares to the Straw Hats, or to Luffy in general. This flashback is going to be insane because Oda has been building Oden up as this amazing figure on so many levels. Not only did he manage to charm Whitebeard, Roger, and Shanks, his scabbards were absolutely in love with him. When everyone talks about Oden, it's as if they talk about a character that obviously died too soon, that they had high aspirations for, that was going to change the game for them. When you think about everything Oden accomplished at a young age, from not only going to Kuri and basically creating a nation or establishing something out of Kuri that they thought wasn't possible by not only defeating Ashura Doji, by liberating that entire area and having everybody follow him, by standing up for Inu and Neko, by in many ways becoming the man that Yasui thought he could become, and having forward thinking of opening the borders of Wano. Of course, he was even saying that he wasn't sure about why they would want to close the borders of Wano. For me, speculatively, they talked about Wano being somewhat a city of gold, or the perception of Wano was that it was a city of gold back then. So the person that was in charge of keeping a lot of people out was Ryuma. Then because of Ryuma's dominance, it became the city of the samurai. So I think they initially closed the city of Wano, or closed Wano in general, due to the abundance of resources that was there. And again, I think in ways to protect the history that was hidden there, because we know they're the Kozuki, they have ties to the Void Century and the Will of D. So I think there are major secrets hidden in Wano that it was specifically closed off to protect, and maybe the false sense of gold was put out there to lead people off the path of looking for history, right? But Oden, after he accomplished this, right, he was supposed to be the next shogun. He left and he joined Whitebeard's crew, the greatest, one of the strongest pirates in One Piece, or one of the greatest pirates in One Piece in general. After he rode Whitebeard's ship, we're not sure exactly how long he did that, he joined Roger's ship, the Pirate King's ship. And of course, Roger, based on this chapter, it seems like Roger felt like he could not accomplish what he did without Oden. Of course, Oden, he was a Kozuki, and he could read the poneglyphs. You know, Roger in some ways could interpret them, but couldn't read them nearly as well as Oden could. If we go to power scaling in regards to Oden, he wielded 2 swords. He wielded 2 powerful swords. One of the swords were able to scar Kaido, the indomitable force that, you know, seemingly unfazable. He was one character that we know of was able to scar him, and he was a division commander of Whitebeards. I presume he was the strongest division commander of Whitebeards, and all this was accomplished at a very young age. Oden was supposed to be the next up. He was supposed to be the savior of Wano, the person that everyone could believe in. Ultimately, he met an untimely death. But the thing is, he died, and based on the dialogue and everything that has transpired, it seems like this was just part of the plan. This was his destiny. His name played into how he died. I think once we learn more about Oden, we're going to understand exactly why Oda drag this out as much as he did, because it's hard to feel as much attachment to the character as his scabbards, because they were willing to sacrifice years of their life. They have. I mean, look at Kawamatsu, Ashura Doji, Kinemon. Of course, Kinemon went back, came forward, but Okiku, these people loved him. These people were willing to risk everything for him. It takes me back to Fujitora and Luffy, in which Fujitora said, I wish I had eyes to see how brilliant you are. And I think it's the same thing for Oden, where Oda is keeping us in the dark because he doesn't want us to understand the brilliance of Oden yet. I mean, I think once he's not Silhouette, and once we understand his personality, and we saw a bit of it in how he interacted with Yasu, where he was like, man, you can become Shogun for all I care. I just want to live my life. He was literally a main character that died early. But there's more to figure out with Oden. Now, I may do a character analysis of Oden, like a true character analysis where we break down everything we've seen so far, but I think it's a bit premature. I should wait until we actually get more from him, some more dialogue, his backstory, just seeing how he grew up. I had to get my thoughts out about him because even though we still haven't seen exactly what he looks like, already we know he's going to be maybe a top 10 character in One Piece based on just impact alone, maybe top 5, and just how the ripple effects of everything he did is going to impact the rest of the One Piece world. That's about it though. Guys, leave your thoughts below. What did you think about this whole Oden thing? Not only the analysis, not only the identity stuff, but about Oden, or Oda trying to portray Oden as a main character who died too young, and his scabbards being basically his crew that believed in him, and the person that they believed in somehow met an untimely death. Let me know your thoughts. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.ace. Become a patron below as well, where you can vote for video ideas, etc. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate it so much. Again, like the video, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.